Good evening, and welcome to the Candidates Forum for the Palo Alto Unified School District School Board of Education. The League of Women Voters of Palo Alto and the Council of PTAs of Palo Alto are sponsoring tonight's forum. I'm Ellen Forbes. I'm president of the League. I want to thank you for coming out this evening to show your interest in the education of our students. The League is a nonpartisan political organization whose mission is to engage citizens in active and informed participation in government. The League does not support or oppose candidates or parties. The League also studies issues, takes positions based on those issues, and advocates for those positions. This forum, funded by the League Education Fund through contributions from members and community donors, is devoted entirely to our voter service activity. We are most appreciative for the participation of our many co-sponsors. In alphabetical order, they are the AAUW, Avenidas, Mid-Peninsula Community Media Center, Palo Alto Chamber of Commerce, Palo Alto Council of PTAs, and the Palo Alto Weekly and Palo Alto Online. This forum is being recorded by the Media Center and is being aired live on cable, Public Access Channel 28. It's also being streamed live. To find playback times, go to midpenmedia.org. That's the first step. Second step, under Local TV, go down to and select Local TV Schedule. And finally, in the search box, type in PAUSD. For more information on the elections, we recommend that you visit smartvoter.org. Our League website, which is lwvpaloalto.org. Please pick up a flyer over on the side table about the League presentations of the pros and cons of the ballot measures this year and the candidate forums, and also a facts for voters, who your representatives are at all levels of government. The candidates' campaign materials are on the tables outside of the boardroom. Please stay after the forum to meet and talk with the candidates personally. And now I'm pleased to turn the microphone over to our moderator for tonight's forum, Gloria Chen Hu from the San Jose Santa Clara League of Women Voters.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm glad to be here. You know, this forum provides the opportunity for all of you here tonight, and as well as those listening and watching this elsewhere. We have so many media possibilities these days. It's your opportunity to hear from the 5 candidates who are running for the 2 seats on the Palo Alto Unified School District Board of Trustees. I'd like to introduce them right now, and they drew lots earlier, and they're sitting in the order, and they are with us: Catherine Kristen Foster, Ken Dauber, Ajita Dalman, 4, Terry Godfrey, and J. Blas Jacob Cabrera. Before we begin, I'd like to go over the format for our session. We are scheduled to be finished by 9 p.m., and to help keep us all on track, we have our timekeeper, Larry Lovechick. Larry, there you are, Larry. He will signal candidates with the yellow sign for 30 seconds. And also important, the red sign when the time is up. And I know you'll all be cooperating. If not, I'll just step in. The candidates have all received our ground rules, and there are also ground rules for the audience, and I'd like to quickly go over them with you. The audience, the questions to candidates must be written on cards provided by the League here at the forum. We have many volunteers who are distributing them. They're circulated by our volunteers from the League, and please indicate if the question is directed to a specific candidate. Secondly, I ask that there be no audience demonstration, clapping, etc. during the forum, especially anything that would be indicative of your feelings for or against any candidate. It's a good time to turn off all electronic devices. I hope I've done mine. And we do ask that no camera or video devices be used during the forum. And this is a good time now to think about turning off or silencing your telephones. Candidates have already been advised, and they're all here. We did not allow any stand-ins. We also ask that your responses should pertain to the question at hand, and I may interrupt you if, for some reason, I see you or hear you straying from the subject. I will also be enforcing time limits, as I said, and we've already seen those signs that will be shown. We ask that you not interrupt each other. We ask that, and I see you don't have any props, I believe, and that, as we noted earlier, the campaign materials are outside, and I don't see anybody with any buttons or campaign materials inside, so that's fine. The written questions will be collected throughout the forum. You'll have some time to put them together. I will ask, because I have trouble sometimes reading some of the questions that you write as legibly as possible. It's for your benefit, so we can make sure that we ask the question you wanted, also for our volunteers who are looking at the questions and vetting them for me. This will allow us to cover as broad a range of topics as possible, and please avoid having those questions be, in fact, speeches, and they should not be partial to any particular candidate. Can I just see the volunteers, if they're around, with their hands up, and they have baskets for the cards, so please wave your hand if you need a card, or if you've got a card for them to pick up. I do want to acknowledge our question sorters and other volunteers. They are Valerie Stringer, Jean McDonald, Mary Alice Thornton, and Susan Usman. And I'm not listed here as the person who's been putting it all together, Trina Leverchek. So they have just been a great bunch of people who put this together. We'll begin with a 3-minute opening statement from each candidate. Candidates have drawn numbers and will speak in the order in which they're seated. Following the opening statements, each candidate will have an opportunity to ask one other candidate one question. And you're aware of this. The time limit for the question is 30 seconds, and the response time is limited to 1 minute. The questionnaire, I may allow a rebuttal for more than 1 minute. We'll then have the questions we have collected from the audience. So that will give you, while they're starting with the questions of each other, some time to be thinking about your own questions. Candidates will be called on in varying order for each question. So I'm going to sort of rotate you around. It'll be randomly done. And you'll have 1.5 minutes each to respond. I should also urge you, though, you don't have to take the whole 1.5 minutes.
Good advice.
And we'll have then, we'll end with a closing statement from each candidate, and that's limited to 2 minutes. And we'll be doing your closing statements in reverse order, okay? One final note, in the interest of time, and so that we can keep this a very nonpartisan environment, we ask that there be no applause or other demonstration of support or opposition to any candidate or their positions. And at the end of the forum, you'll all have an opportunity to cheer them all on with applause. So let's now begin with the opening statements, and we will start with Ms. Foster.
Thank you. Thank you to the League and the PTA Council. Thanks to all of you for coming out tonight. I have a particularly soft spot in my heart for the League of Women Voters, since my mom was a 30-year League member and has been to so many of these. I love communities that come together and support things like this. And my love for this community is part of what really inspired me to run for school board. I love the community, and I'm passionate about educational excellence for all students. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the journey that I took to get to this place now, because that will give you an idea not only of the skills and the experience that I would bring to the board, but also about the values that I would bring to the board. The journey started when I graduated from law school and took a job advocating for immigrant battered women, keeping them safe in their homes. And I still remember Maria Elena, who was unable to send her daughter to school because she couldn't find a safe place to sleep. After my time doing that work, my next step in the journey was working with a child advocacy organization, where I helped work to keep kids safe, healthy, housed, well-educated, and well-fed in cities and towns across the country. The next step in my journey took me then to write legislation for local government, again, working to help make sure that that legislation was most protective of kids. And beyond that, took me to California, where my husband and I started our family. We're looking for a town where we could send our 2 boys to school, to the public schools that we knew were so great in Palo Alto. So I began working for the Children's Defense Fund and other clients, and helping kids and their moms, people like Jenny, who was desperate to find subsidized childcare for her daughter. We helped get legislation in place that would preserve funding for programs that serve kids like her daughter. And I worked with organizations like the Hewlett Foundation and the Gates Foundation to help them with their education programs, to learn from what they did, to help make sure that their programs were better so that more young people could get a good education in America no matter where they went to school and no matter where they lived. I then turned to work more locally with the Peninsula College Fund. At the Peninsula College Fund, I was the executive director and helped low-income, first-generation college students finish college, including students here in Palo Alto. I expanded the program to serve the kids here where we hadn't served them before. But it was really important to me that the kids here had an opportunity that other kids in other places would have. So that brings me to the next step, which I hope will be the school board, where I would love to maximize the potential of every student, where I want to take the skills and the experience that I built up over all of these years and use them at this incredible moment of opportunity and change. I thank you. Look forward to talking to you some more.
Thank you. Now we hear the opening statement from Mr. Dauber.
Good evening. My name is Ken Dauber. First, thanks to the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum and to my fellow candidates for participating. My children have attended elementary, middle, and high school here in Palo Alto, and one thing I've learned from having 5 children is that every child is different, and that our schools work best when they meet every child where they are and enable them to meet their individual potential. I went to public schools myself. I have a PhD in sociology, and I spent 6 years teaching sociology to college students. I've been a software engineer at Google for the last 7 years, and I've also spent more than a decade consulting to organizations like the Gates Foundation and the U.S. Department of Education on how to use data to improve education. Following the tragedies that our district experienced in 2009, I wanted to get involved in the community response. I was concerned at that time as a gun parent about the effect of academic stress on our students. In response to that, I helped to found, build, and lead a broad and collaborative coalition here in Palo Alto that took one piece of the recommendations in our community's Project Safety Net plan for creating a supportive school environment and worked to get those recommendations implemented, including recommendations like finals before winter break, limits on homework, coordinated test and project scheduling, improved guidance counseling, curricular alignment, and other issues. As more people from across Palo Alto began to work together on this, we also started to work on other issues like civil rights, bullying, college readiness, special education, supporting low-income children. Now, when I say a broad and collaborative coalition, I mean that it includes a broad cross-section of parents, students, teachers, and community members from across the city. We've worked together in an effort to put students first. And we've had some real successes. It's a record that I'm proud of. We've helped to move forward many of the goals of that part of the Project Safety Net plan for a supportive school environment. I feel that the experience of helping to move forward these goals has left me very well prepared to serve on the school board. For example, in the course of working on these issues, I've attended almost every board meeting for the past several years, and I understand how the board operates, how it sets goals, how it makes decisions, and what the role and responsibility of a board member is. In this campaign, I'm making some specific proposals for things that I hope to accomplish on the board after the election. All of these goals will, I hope, put students first. And they include continuing to reduce academic stress and improve social and emotional support, increasing consistency in teaching and curriculum, opening a 13th elementary school promptly, implementing foreign language instruction in all of our elementary schools, cooperating with the federal government on civil rights, improving relations with our special eds community, and reducing unnecessary expenses such as legal fees and public relations, and putting those dollars back into the classroom where they belong. And there's lots of other issues that I'm sure we'll talk about tonight, and I hope I'll earn your vote in November.
Thank you. I'm now hear from Ms. Brown.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the League. I want to thank all of you for coming and participating in this democratic process, and I want to thank all my colleague candidates for traveling this journey together. I'm running for the Palo Alto School District because I believe that every kid has the opportunity to be a change maker. And I believe we have everything in our school district to make that happen. I believe we have the best students, the best teachers, the best administrators, parent community, and the most creative community in the world. But I don't think that we're using these assets fully to achieve our goal. There's three things that need to happen in order for us to make sure that all our kids reach their social, their emotional, and their academic potential. The first thing, we need to build a learning institution. We need to embrace innovation. We need to evaluate what works, measure it, and scale it consistently. The second thing is we need to collaborate towards a shared vision of success. We need to make sure that we're aligning the budget, paying for activities that will allow us to achieve the vision. And third, we need to continuously connect with our amazing community of innovators within our geographic boundaries and outside of our geographic boundaries to keep innovating. I was born and raised in Mexico. And 20 years ago, my husband and I decided to make Palo Alto our home. We fell in love with this community. We fell in love with its creative spirit. I was trained as an economist. I have a master's in economics from the University of London, a master's in international policy studies from Stanford University. And for the past 10 years, I've been focused on increasing the academic achievement of all the children in the region. I've been fortunate enough, first as the Director of Innovation for the Silicon Valley Education Foundation, and for the past 7 years, I've been leading the Silicon Valley Community Foundation's investment in education. That means I'm a grant maker, and I work with 54 different school districts and superintendents, assuring that we're investing in those key programs that are the key lever points for student success, including teacher professional development, student programming, education technology, and creating environments for all the kids to succeed. For the past couple of years, I've been incredibly busy in terms of helping school districts implement the Common Core state standards. And together with my colleagues from the Gates Foundation, Stewart, Bechtel, and Hewlett, we've created a national network of funders interested in implementing Common Core, so we're able to scale best practices. I want to make sure that all this learning and innovation that I see through my work, I bring it here to the school district that I care most about, because this is where my kids are, Palo Alto. And I hope to count with your vote to do just that.
Thank you. Ms. Godfrey.
I echo my friends on the dais here. Thanks to all for coming, and thanks for the organizers. I plan to give you a little background on myself so you have some context when you go to ask questions. I was born in Panama. My family was in the canal zone from when the canal was built. And when I was 5, my parents decided to move us to California so I could go to school in the States. So I took full advantage of the California public schools, went all the way through to get a BS in math at UC Irvine and an MBA in finance at UCLA. So I'm a California public school girl from age 5 to age, 24. I started my professional career in finance, and I worked in finance and human resources and venture capital, including, I'll give you some job titles to give you some breadth of what that work was like. I was the finance director for Intel Europe. So lived and worked in Europe. We had a $300 million budget and 1,500 employees. I was an HR director for a 2,000-person organization, including having a team of statisticians and industrial and organizational psychologists who did all the data analytics on people. So when you have a 100,000-person organization, you need to understand what's happening in your organization, and so my team did that. I also worked at the Stanford Graduate School of Business as the Director of Finance and Strategic Planning. Along the way, I had some kids, and they wanted to go to school, and they started school here in Palo Alto at Escondido Elementary School, and I decided that where my spare time, what little there was of it, was going to be spent helping those schools. So when I worked full-time, I was Escondido PTA president. When I transitioned to working part-time, I was PTA council president. And in those years, unfortunately, as was mentioned earlier by Ken, we had a suicide contagion that resulted in Project Safety Net. And I jumped right in and wanted to be part of a collaborative organization across the city helping youth well-being and trying to prevent teen suicide. From the 22 strategies the Project Safety Net founders, of which I am one, determined, I picked developmental assets as my the ball to pick up and carry forward, and I still do that today. Most recently, I was PI board president. I was recruited to PI not because I'm good at fundraising or making posters or doing marketing, but because of my leadership skills. It's a 100-person volunteer organization raising $5 million every year for our kids and our schools, and what was needed was someone who had the leadership skills to be able to get those goals in place, get metrics in place, and lead the organization to what is a big number, because as you know, at the end of every year we write a check and give it all away and start over again. And so that's a big challenge. So for me, I believe that the mix of skills of my financial background and my deep love of this city and this community are a good mix for the school board. So I lay that out for you to give you the opportunity to ask questions and just give you some context. And of course, I want your vote in November.
Thank you. Last opening statement from Mr. Cabrera.
Hi, my name's Blas Jacob Cabrera. I go by Jay, and I was born here in Stanford Hospital. I grew up in Palo Alto. I went to Nixon Elementary School. I went to JLS Middle School, and I graduated from Gunn High School in 1998. From there, I went to UC Santa Cruz, University of California, Santa Cruz, and I studied environmental studies and biology, and I really enjoyed that. I really focused on sustainability, very big into any type of green programs. And in my senior year of UC Santa Cruz, I ran for the number 2 position within the student government. I got elected to that, so it was the internal vice chair, and that was the first time that it had gotten elected to a government position, and I was also the chair of the student committee on committees. And so that particular position, I know it sounds a little silly, but it oversaw every single student appointment to the hundreds of administrative and faculty committees on the campus. So you really got a bird's eye view of how an entire educational institution functioned. And then additionally, I was on and served on quite a few different committees, which I will not go into detail on for you. I'm really a supporter in initiating and bringing our governance structures of our communities into the 21st century and utilizing technology for decision making in our communities. I feel that a lot of our government structures, regardless on what level, are based on 200-year-old democratic systems, and there are so many amazing technologies we now have at our fingertips to bring into that. So the key word is interactivity. I'm dedicated to putting every single decision, every single issue online, allowing the community to interact and vote on issues, to ensure that there is a direct conduit to my candidacy as a board member if I was elected, and building that community network and interactive collaboration with the community. From there, I'm also a big proponent of rethinking the educational context of our 21st century economy in the context of computer skills, and specifically computer coding, and considering the aspect of making computer coding and computer programming a basic skill that is learned throughout public education as one of many, many issues that we could, as a community, prioritize. And lastly, I'll just say that, as a member of our community, I am, and I just mentioned, after UC Santa Cruz, I boomerang back, living with my parents here, here in my community. And, there's no question that when people think of a school board representative, they might think a parent. And I'm here just bring the idea of a potential alternative option of having a different perspective on the school board and just bringing out my ideas. So I'm excited about having that diversity here for you to listen to.
Thank you, and everyone was just perfectly on time. What an amazing slate of wonderful candidates you have before you, highly qualified, obviously all very passionate about being here.